Hey, have you ever looked at a piece of sheet music and your brain just freezes? It looks like some kind of ancient code, right? Well, you're definitely not alone. Today, we're going to dive into a totally different way of thinking about it, one that treats music less like a code to be cracked and more like a language you can actually speak.
So let's just start with this one big question. I mean, what if learning music was as natural as learning to speak? Imagine looking at that page of notes and it feeling easy, kind of like reading a sentence in a book. That simple idea right there is the key. It's what unlocks this whole new, much more confident way of making music.
Okay, so this probably looks familiar, right? On one side, you've got the fear, seeing all those notes as just obstacles, a wall you have to climb. But on the other side, you've got the feeling, hearing those exact same notes as a language, something you can use to express yourself. So, how do we get from the fear to the feeling? How do we build that bridge? It all starts with this one simple idea. Music is a language. Seriously. And just like any language you might learn, it's got an alphabet, it's got words, it's got grammar. And the goal here is to actually understand it, not just memorize a bunch of random rules. Okay, so think about how a little kid learns to read. They don't just memorize the word hello. They see the letters H-E-L-L-O, and they sound it out. We're doing the exact same thing here, but with music. You literally say the note names out loud as you see them. It seems simple, but what you're doing is forging this super strong connection in your brain between the little black dot on the page and the actual sound it's supposed to make. All right, so once we've got the note names down, it's time to learn the alphabet. Now, here's the twist. In music, the alphabet isn't just the notes themselves, like A, B, C. It's really about the relationship between them. You know, the distance from one note to the next. We call them intervals. And these are our first four words. Instead of using those kind of dry, technical terms, second, third, fourth, fifth, we use words that actually describe the movement. A step is just a tiny move to the next note. A skip jumps over one. See how intuitive that is? These become the absolute bedrock, the building blocks for creating real musical sentences.
So you might be asking, why use a word like leap instead of just calling it a fifth? And this is so cool. The idea is that leap works like a character's name. It gives the interval its own personality. It makes it easier to remember, easier to see in your mind's eye. You're basically turning an abstract musical idea into something you can grab onto, like a character in a story. And get this, there's actual brain science to back this up. It's called the affective filter. Basically, it's a mental wall we put up when we're stressed or bored. But when learning is fun, like when we give intervals playful names, that wall comes down. And when the filter's down, information just flows. It gets right into your brain, which means better focus, more motivation, and you actually remember things. Okay, now we're getting to a part that might sound a little weird. It's probably one of the most counterintuitive things you'll hear, but trust me, it's also one of the most powerful. It's all about practicing without the pressure of making a perfect sound. At least, not right away. It's called silent rehearsal, and what it is pure mental practice. You're focusing only on the physical feeling of playing a pattern, without worrying about the sound. It's like building the railroad tracks before you send the train. You're laying down all these neural pathways in your brain, so when it's time to actually play, the movement is smooth and automatic. All the anxiety of hitting a wrong note? Gone. So what does that actually look like? Well, it's different for every instrument. For a piano player, it could be as simple as tapping out the fingerings on a table, or even on a piece of paper with keys drawn on it. For someone playing, say, a clarinet or a violin, they might practice the fingerings on their instrument without blowing any air or drawing the bow. They're just focusing on that muscle memory, that embouchure, the feeling of the bow. And yeah, this even works for singers. You can practice the shapes your mouth makes for different vowels, or just focus on your breath control, all without making a sound. The point in every single case is to isolate the physical part from the sound part. You're building the physical skill in a totally no-pressure zone. Okay, so we've got our letters, we've got our first few words. Now it's time for the grammar. The rules that hold the whole language together. And in music, that grammar is all about chords and harmony. And this is where we hit a really common question. I hear this all the time. Okay, I'm a singer, or I play the flute. I can only play one note at a time. Why on earth do I need to learn about chords? It's a fair question, right? But the answer is huge. Understanding chords is what separates just playing notes from being a true musician.
It lets you hear and understand what's happening around you. It helps you shape your own melody to fit in beautifully with the harmony. And hey, if you ever want to improvise or write your own stuff, chords are the entire playbook. They are the grammar you need to speak your own musical ideas. So, let's put it all together. We've treated music like a language. We've learned the physical patterns before we made a sound. We've understood the grammar of harmony. And after all that, we finally arrive at our destination. And here's the big takeaway. Because you did all that prep work, you've built this incredibly detailed map of the music in your head. It totally bypasses that feeling of impatience, that urge to just start playing without really knowing what you're doing. So when you finally look at the sheet music, it's not a foreign code anymore. It's a story you already know by heart. And this right here is the real magic. This is the payoff. A student walks up to their instrument and the feeling inside isn't, oh man, I hope I get this right. It's a calm, solid, I can do this. And that single shift in mindset, that changes absolutely everything. So that leaves us with one last thing to think about. This whole model, learning the alphabet, building words, doing silent rehearsals, understanding the grammar, this isn't just about music, is it? So my question to you is, what else could you learn this way? How could you apply this language model to learning pretty much any new skill you can think of?